All right, this is Mark Adams with fourquartersonline.com, and I'm here with my tag team partner once again.
Coach Cofield, what's up, Mark?
Coach, what's going on, man?
Oh, man. Great week of football, and I'm excited about the upcoming playoffs. That's what's going on.
So let's not waste anybody's time. Let's go ahead and jump into the 4Q rewind. So we're going to run back all the games from this past week. Let's go ahead and talk about Lincoln taking down Childs 33-6. Really, the Trojans, I think they're probably playing some of their best football right now. They improved to 4-1 on the year. Perry Fisher threw for 239 yards and 3 touchdowns. Frederick Alexander led all rushers with 133 yards and the touchdown of his own. Christian, now you're going to have to help me with this name. Christian Ducatoro had 8 receptions for 146 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Coach, this is like kind of setting up their last matchup of the season with Gabby coming up next week. But they are really playing their brand of football right now.
Yeah, they won 4 straight games after falling short against the Ricketts Raiders, and now look like Coach B.J. Daniel has gotten his team going on the right track.
Yeah, they look like they are playoff ready right now. They've got a lot of – each week there's a different guy stepping up. We get a different name from this bunch each week. So Childs plays Ricketts next week to close out the season, and then Lincoln will play Gabby next week. That's a good matchup next week.
Man, I love that. Man, the locals are playing each other, and it's an exciting brand of football playing against your hometown rivals.
Right. So up next, crosstown, Gabby took down FAMU High 56-20. Gabby improves to 3-2 on the year, and really for Coach McCray, this was a great senior send-off.
Yeah, Gabby was struggling a little bit. FAMU took the lead early, playing some great football, but just couldn't hold on at the end. The second half was all Gabby Cougars.
Yeah, it definitely was back and forth in the beginning. I saw both teams exchange scores. And really, Gabby's defense was out of position in the first half, but then they put the clamps down later on in the ball game. Jeremiah Parker led the defense, 5 sacks. I think that speaks for itself.
Man, is he up for Player of the Week?
He might be. We might have to talk about this young man in our next segment. Going into the Lincoln game, I think this is absolutely the tune-up that Gabby needed. Being able to take down anybody else in the city.
Tune-up, hey, Mark. I coached at FAMU for 20-some years. We ain't no tune-up.
But still, I have to talk about Landon Barrett. Played a great game. Even in the loss, he was able to kind of this is probably, I think we're seeing one of the better quarterbacks in the area. And really, on the other side of the ball, Cougars really they just overcame a back and forth ball game, but their quarterback had an amazing night too.
Yeah, Lonnie Williams is really outstanding. Had 3. He's responsible for 4 touchdowns, throwing for 3 and rushing for 1 on his own. So
Gabby going into a big matchup against Lincoln next week, and then FAMU High, they got a big matchup of their own. They play NFC, and that game is always fun. I always look forward to that one.
Man, that's going to be exciting.
So let's go across town. Ricketts really in another thriller takes down Leon 16-12, and Lions were really just had their hearts ripped out of their chest. Coach Jan, I know he really wanted that one. But when you look at what Ricketts is just able to do on offense, just way too much in the fourth quarter. And it's that man again, Townsend, being able to find the end zone and really he sustained that last fourth quarter drive, led the team down the field. He pulled it off again.
I think that Mr. Townsend always waits to the end of the game. I think he loves the dramatic. It looked like Ricketts will play. They so, and then in the fourth quarter they take over and win the game.
Yeah, Leon held the lead for most of the game, and really was all in the leg of our previous player of the week on special team, Mr. Brooks, who was 4 for 4, perfect on extra points. I had another great night. Unfortunately, just was not enough. Lions really tried to get their way back towards about midfield, somewhere. I would say probably midway through the early part of the fourth quarter, and had some opportunities, and just a couple of missed open receivers, they could not able to kind of break through, because if they had gotten in field goal range, that might have been a different outcome to the game.
Yeah, they have a great kicker themselves, so that would have been a heartbreaker for Ricketts if they had gotten close enough to kick the ball.
Much credit due to the Raiders offensive line because they, I mean, they played an absolutely perfect fourth quarter. I didn't see hardly any penalties. They were able to buy Mr. Townsend a bunch of time. So that you almost don't want, you're scared. I'm really scared for the team that leaves too much time on the clock for Ricketts this year.
You better be way ahead when you're playing Ricketts late in the fourth quarter because Mr. Townsend going to take it over and usually ends up with a touchdown late.
Right. Let's take it down to Crawfordville. Excuse me, not Crawfordville, but our friends in Crawfordville were on the road at Vernon, and they were able to pull off the road win, 21-6. Vernon was really, I think they were undefeated prior to that, and Wakulla took them down.
Yeah, Vernon was doing well, but they're a 1A school, and Wakulla's a 5A school. Should come out with a victory. Went on the road, played a tough Vernon team, and it probably helped Vernon more than it helped Wakulla because they got a chance to play an upper level school and get ready for the playoffs.
But much credit to Vernon because it took the War Eagles into the fourth quarter before they could finally put them away because Vernon hung around for a long time in that game. But for Wakulla, Desmond Green was 9 of 12 for 97 yards, and Jakari Evan had 102 all-purpose yards, and that really was the difference maker. When you got guys that can get into a rhythm like that, that was obviously, from what I saw, that was the thing that carried them over in the fourth quarter. Kanye Westfield led all defenders with 12 tackles and 2 sacks.
I thought you was getting ready to say Kanye West. Hey, but Kanye Westfield had a great night with 12 tackles and 2 sacks. Yeah. Man, is he up for defensive player of the week?
He might be. We'll have to wait and see.
Man, these kids are having some great games down to the wire here.
So another big one, another fun one that's we look forward to every year. NFC and Taylor County linking up. This one down in Perry, and NFC came out on top big, 53-20, 26 over the Bulldogs. And really for NFC, I mean, each week we see a different kind of team emerge, and they look more dangerous than the last team that we saw the previous week. I'm
sure Coach Price enjoys going back to play his former school. He was a head coach there before coming to North Florida Christian. North Florida look like they're on the road right now.
Yeah, when you got playmakers like DeAndre McCray, 155 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns, and then another receiving touchdown, and then added in, I think, another 40 yards and kick return yards. I mean, how do you stop him? Because he's going to beat you in one phase of the game or the other. Don't
kick the ball to him. I know that one thing. Most schools that play NFC kick the ball out of bounds rather than kicking it to him.
And I can't be sold on just him because Devon Jackson had another 106 yards rushing and also added the score. Both of those guys went over. You got 200-yard rushers. You kind of can pick your poison at that point. And then I got to talk about this because of the name in and of itself. J.P. Pickles. Yes, J.P. Pickles was absolutely wrecking shop in the backfield. 16 tackles, 10 solo, and 6 assists and 8 tackles for a loss.
Man, he was a beast. He was a beast that night.
Needless to say, Taylor County was not able to do much on offense because of this guy. Great night for the Eagles, dominating win.
Yep. Once again, NFC going to Taylor County, putting on a show.
Yo, and they face FAMU High next week, so that's going to be another interesting matchup. So we'll have to get into that later. Let's go on back. McClay downs Cottondale, and really what was I can't remember. We've seen some pretty fast games, but this was ground game only. McClay just ran the ball and did what they wanted to. 43-24 over the Cottondale Hornets, and really for McClay, it was good to get back 500 for them.
Yeah, I think they enjoyed their game. I used to seeing McClay throw the football all over the place, but that night, Coach Raymond decided he wanted to run the football, and run it he did. I don't think they threw over 3. Did they throw 5 passes all night, 3 or 4 passes?
No, but I'm waiting for both Popple brothers to go over 100 yards rushing in the same game. I think it's possible.
That wouldn't be a surprise. That would not be a surprise.
Meanwhile, we got to talk about Ben Wynn. Had 11 tackles, 1 sack, and 1 fumble recovery to lead the defense. Excellent night for him on defense. And McClay, really for them, they've got a week off before a pretty tall order in NFC coming back over to their place for the first round or their first round playoff matchup, and that's that's going to be. I'm interested to see how that's going to unfold.
Because I think the Marauders have quite a few players out the first time, not giving any excuses, but it should be they should all have all hands on deck, and it should be a lot better game than the first time.
Right. Meanwhile, down on Space, is it Space Coast? I got to get that.
I'm in North Florida, but I don't know if it's a Space Coast or what.
Madison County goes to Flagler Palm Coast, and man, in a heartbreaker, falls 15-14, bringing them to 7-2 on the year. And really, just they really had an early lead, and they just weren't able to catch up after that. A couple of things just did not go their way, and I think Flagler was really I think they really caught them kind of off guard, especially in the secondary.
Yeah, that's a bigger school than Madison, and guys, Coach doesn't mind playing bigger schools. He doesn't mind playing tougher competition. It's all about getting ready for the playoffs with the Madison Cowboys.
And I think they're very much battle tested on the year. They play some absolute
anytime.
They have a monstrous schedule every year. You're right on that one. Coach Cole does not shy away from opponents, so they're still in great position, and they're definitely battle tested. Let's talk about probably one of the most exciting teams in the area, the Monroe. 8-0, undefeated regular season with a big win over Hamilton County. I think they kind of proved themselves a little bit going on the road, playing the school that I would say they don't get to see very often, but probably has seen a little bit more better competition than Monroe has in recent years. And going on the road and beating them 26-13 to get them to this point, I think we talked to Coach Lecky a week back, and they've never been. This is the best record they've ever had.
It's historic for Monroe winning these games. It looked like it doesn't matter who the competition is. They're getting better and better as the season goes, and they're going to be a scary and a tough out in the playoffs.
Yeah, we have to talk about it because their offense is really. We keep saying the same name every week. Quarterback Xavier Gray. Ran for 189 yards and 3 touchdowns to lead the offense, and really just everything runs through this guy, and him and Damani Frazier have really just set themselves in to a different category offensively. But the thing that I always like to talk about is that they are also a dynamite team defensively. Tyler Dickey had 8 tackles, and Aristotle Cummins had 2 sacks. The same names keep coming up over and over again. This is an outstanding team, and what they're doing right now, I think, is probably it's great to see a team go off on a historic run. And I think it's we talked about the energy they had over there at school. Winning is fun. It's always going to be fun.
Man,
and it looks like they're having a blast over there at Monroe.
When we talked to Coach early in the year, he was excited. I didn't quite understand. But after the season unveils, I understand now. He has some great players, some game breakers, a solid team, and it's not the same old Monroe.
No, this is a team that's definitely on the rise, and really looking at them, one of the things I like about teams is that they've learned how to really embrace different kind of competition, and Monroe is their schedule is going to be expanding. We're going to start seeing them play a lot tougher schools, but great for them. They're off on an exciting run. Tough opponent coming up this week in University Christian. We'll talk about that later, but fantastic regular season. So congrats to those guys for staying undefeated. And let's talk about we got to talk about this team because they have been absolutely wrecking shop, and that's Gaston County. 3-1 on the year, 58-14 over Rutherford, and this defense has not given up more than 20 points all year.
Mark, they scored 50 points in the first half. They kind of slacked up in the second half, and you're talking about a team that's really come around and played Trinity Christian out of Texas, and that's their only loss, and they're an exciting football team to watch. They don't have a lot. They have a lot of guys because when they turn the stats in, you see guys are just 100. You don't have one guy doing it. It's a whole bunch of team guys doing it. Team effort every week.
Yeah, absolutely. 5 different guys scored. That's 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 spreading the wealth around. I mean, nobody is left out really in their backfield. Every kid is getting the ball and they're doing stuff with it. Keldrick DeBron, we talked about him earlier in the season. He led all rushers with 101 yards and 2 touchdowns. Man, I'm liking how this team is kind of evolving. We're seeing them 1 week they're off, and then 2 weeks later we see them emerge again. Another great win. So I know the schedule hasn't benefited everybody, but they have marched through what has really been a tough schedule and really shown that they're going to be one of the better teams going into the playoffs.
They're on it. I got to give Coach Fuller his due. He's done a great job. Last year, I think before Coach Fuller got there, I think they didn't win a game. And now he comes back in and they turn out to be one of the better teams in the area. He has some magic, and he keeps bringing it on. He comes back and forth to the Jaguars and bringing it back and forth after leaving Gabby. This team is exciting. We got to get over there and watch them play. Yeah,
absolutely. Meanwhile, Port St. Joe takes down Jefferson County 49-14, and Port St. Joe is they're having a great season out there. Their quarterback, I think you have his name, but their offense has been, I mean, absolutely like on fire because of this kid. I think he had 4 touchdowns the other week, and then threw for another 2 the previous week, and has just been on an absolute tear all this season. So Port St. Joe is in the Sunshine. In
the championship game this weekend.
Yeah, Sunshine Championship
against Baker.
Game, in that particular league, and then they will begin playing in the playoffs, I believe, after that.
Yeah, yes, they're in the championship game. They go to Baker this week, and hopefully we'll come back with a victory for this area. Talk to Coach Tannehill. He's having a great season with his quarterback, Colin Emerson. Every week he's throwing 4 or 5 touchdowns. In this game, though, it was close. Jefferson County came and gave them all they wanted. It was only 21-14 at halftime, and they kind of took it away in the second half. But it was a great start, and the team, they're doing great. They're playing some great offense. Coach Tanner Jones has come over there and taken that program to another level. They struggled before he got there. His offensive mindset has given everybody a problem in this area, and look like they're going to be a team to reckon with in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely probably say one of the most entertaining forms of football is really at the 1A level. And schools in the Panhandle are really, it's kind of like a unique set of rivalries that they build between each other. And so it's, I'm kind of, much like you, hopefully they'll bring it back home for this particular area. But, man, great season in the Port St. Joe Sharks and Tanner Jones. Meanwhile, John Paul falls on the road to Walton 20-33, and really just kind of disappointing loss for the Panthers. I know they were coming in riding really high, and just, it's tough to go into places like Walton and win.
Yeah, I had an opportunity when I was coaching to have a few games over there, and it is tough. Their fans really follow their team, and John Paul being a small school, less than 200 kids, playing a school with about 1,000 kids is something special. And you can't expect to win all those games. I know last week they beat Childs and was excited on a high. And this week you come back and you don't perform like you want to. And but I'm looking for them to do great things in the playoffs also.
Yeah, absolutely. Some other scores to round out the area. Mariana beat North Bay Haven 34-14, and then Baker Best and Sneeze 26-25. That actually was a pretty close game. And that one, I think it really came down to about, a couple of plays in the fourth quarter late for Sneeze. So, Coach, really, as we go into really what is the final week of the regular season, we've got some big matchups set up, but I think one of the biggest things I noticed is that a lot of these teams are really have really separated themselves from the rest of the competition. We've got quite a few schools that are going to be going in to make really deep runs in the playoffs. And I'm actually looking forward to it. And we get started next week.
That's right, Bart. It's a new season when you start in the playoffs.
Okay, so that's been the 4Q Rewind, and we'll catch everybody in our next segment.